Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shop Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Thursday, November 14th, 2024. And if you'd like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. I got my daily Bank Shop best bet as well as other plays across different sports, so check it out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Thursday in college basketball. First up, we see Nicholls in Northern Kentucky. This one 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Now, both of these teams have losing records to start the season, but I'm actually more impressed with the 0-2 Northern Kentucky Norse than I am the 1-2 Nicholls, as Northern Kentucky played 2 tough true road games at Florida State and Purdue, and they were able to hold both of those teams to under 75 points. So yes, they were double-digit losses, and the Purdue game got out of hand a little bit, but the defense has actually played pretty well in those games, and I think Northern Kentucky overall is one of the better defensive teams in mid-major college basketball. So far this season, already top 100 in adjusted defensive efficiency. They're an experienced team that returned a lot of production from last year's roster, and they're also a really good home team. I mean, this is a team that last year only lost 2 home games overall, and both of those were close games, and they were against good teams like Akron and Purdue-Fort Wayne. It was by 1 point and by 5 points. Nicholls on the other side, you look at their game against New Mexico, competitive game, 91-84. It was actually a pretty solid performance. But your next game against South Alabama, in a game that you're expected to win at home, you lose that one outright by 6 points. And I was not impressed by Nicholls in that one. They've just been a little bit too inconsistent so far. Now you go back on the road where, last year Nicholls was not a great road team. They lost a lot of these non-conference games on the road. They had that one big upset win over LSU. But for me, it's just a tough spot. And it's also, when you look at Northern Kentucky offensively, so far this season they had issues shooting the basketball. They've turned the ball over a little bit too much. But Nicholls' defense is a lot different than what it once was under Austin Claunch. It was a defense that was really aggressive, that forced a lot of turnovers. Not so much under Sadler. I'm not really too worried about this defense, especially on the road in this game. So I think Northern Kentucky not only has another strong defensive showing, but its best offensive showing of the season and wins this game at home. Next up, we see Northern Colorado and South Dakota State. This one's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on Midcoast Sports Plus. It's a neutral site game in Arkansas. And, South Dakota State had the big win against McNeese at the beginning of the season, the first game of the season. And they followed it up with a win against Long Beach, but it was only a 1-point victory at home. I think South Dakota State's going to have its moments this year, as the Jackrabbits usually do. Under Eric Henderson, this has been a competitive team in the Summit League, but I also think it's not one of their best teams on paper, and certainly not one of the more experienced teams. They're ranked 336 in D1 experience, 284 in minutes continuity, so they did not really return a lot of production. And I think there's going to be some growing pains there. They had the nice win, but I think this is a spot where the more experienced team in Northern Colorado takes this game at the neutral site. Northern Colorado, you look at their 2 wins, they don't really tell us much. It was against the subdivision opponents in Colorado College and Colorado Christian. They also played the game against Colorado, so they've kind of done the Colorado tour so far, and that game went to double overtime. I mean, that was a very solid Colorado team in a game that went down the stretch. It was only a 2-point loss in double OT, so I was really impressed with the Bears' performance in that game. So far, their defense is playing pretty well. I mean, they're forcing a lot of turnovers. They are a little bit too aggressive, taking some fouls. Colorado really took advantage of that in that win. But I think that this team overall looks pretty strong this season. And like I said, they're more experienced. They return a good amount of production from last year's team. They're a solid 3-point shooting team. And I think that they're the better side in this game at the neutral site. So we're getting a great price with Northern Colorado because of that big statement win for the Jackrabbits. I think Northern Colorado is the one to take in this one. Next up, we see a neutral site game between Arizona State and Grand Canyon. This one 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Now, Grand Canyon, we know, has been a very solid program recently. They've made it to a couple of NCAA tournaments. Last year, they were able to pull off an upset win in the first round against St. Mary's, a blowout win in that one. And they certainly have their expectations this year with a very experienced roster, 38th in the nation in D1 experience. And they return a decent amount of their production, not a ton, but a good amount. And I think that Grand Canyon should definitely be the favorite to win the WAC yet again this season. I like them in this matchup. I mean, Arizona State, give them credit for competing against Gonzaga. That was they were about 21.5, 22-point dog in that game. They only lose it by 8 points in a game that was pretty close down the wire. But it's also an Arizona State team that got crushed in their exhibition against Duke. They did not look great against Idaho State in a 7-point win, 55-48. They got the nice win against Santa Clara, but still was a pretty close game at the neutral site. I'm still not all in on this Arizona State team right now, really on either side of the ball, but especially offensively. They're turning the ball over a little bit too much, not getting to the free throw line, not getting those second chance looks. And if they're able to make some tough shots like they were against Gonzaga, they'll be competitive in certain spots. But for me, Grand Canyon is a really tough team to face. They play at a fast pace. They're an efficient team on both sides of the ball. They'll definitely have the rebounding advantage in this game, and they should have the advantage of the charity stripe as well, as they get to the free throw line a ton. I like Grand Canyon, and this one should be a great game, but give me the Antelopes in this one. I like the points. Next up, we see LSU and Kansas State. This one's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Now, I like LSU in this game. I think they're a live dog, and I'll certainly take the points. I mean, this is a revenge-minded dog that lost to K-State last year, an improved LSU team that honestly made some improvements down the stretch last season in SEC play. They were at one point 12-12 and 4-7 in conference play. They ended with a winning record and a 500 record in conference play in a tough conference. And right now, they're top 50 in KenPom. They're off to a 2-0 start, 1-1 against the spread. But K-State, on the other hand, they're 2-0 overall, but 0-2 in the thing that matters most in covering the spread, at least to us. And, we took New Orleans plus the points in that first game against K-State. It wasn't a pretty cover, but it was a cover nonetheless, getting about 28, 30 points in that one. And then the last game for Kansas State was really the one that concerned me the most. K-State outshot Cleveland State by 20% from two-point range, about 20% from three-point range, yet they only won that game by 13 points. They failed to cover the number. They had some pretty big issues fundamentally in that game. They gave up 18 offensive rebounds. They only had 7 themselves. They had 19 turnovers offensively, so they were not taking care of the basketball. And they were only 57% from the free throw line, 15-26 from the charity stripe. I think those are big problems, especially in a game that looks to be pretty close. And if K-State's up late, not cashing in on those free throws could be a big problem. I'm going to go with LSU in this one, plus the points. Give me the revenge-minded road dog. Next up, the final game for the Thursday card in college basketball. It's going to be Nebraska, Omaha, and UNLV. This one's going to be 10 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on the Mountain West Network. I think UNLV is much improved this year, and they were competitive in that game against Memphis on Saturday, 80-74, the loss in that one. The defense had some issues, but I do think it'll be a lot better as the season continues. The offense is exactly where you want it to be right now, top 60 in adjusted offensive efficiency. This is a solid shooting team. From last year, they really made improvements down the stretch, and they've carried that over to this season, shooting top 50 in three-point percentage. They take care of the basketball. They get to the free throw line. I think they score a ton of points in this game against the Omaha defense I do not trust. We took the over in Omaha Stetson back on November 7th. That game did go over the number, and Omaha's right now ranked 302 in adjusted defensive efficiency. They've been able to make some plays offensively to keep their games close and win that game against Stetson. But in this game, I don't think they have enough answers in this one in their third straight true road game. Give me UNLV in this one. I'm going to lay the points. And that's it. Those are the games for Thursday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those college hoops picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.